What's up, MMA fans? Back to do another video, and this is a new video set I'm going to start. It's something that I've always kind of followed, and it's going to be called Big Fights and Small Promotions. So it's something I'd like to talk about, and I'm sure to some of the casual fans, it'll be something new. To some of the hardcore fans, you'll be interested in it. I'm also going to mention a fighter that was recently signed to the UFC. It's a heavyweight prospect I featured about a year and a half ago on YouTube, and I'm also going to recap a major upset that happened a few days ago as well. So nonetheless, the first fight I want to talk about is Mamalikov versus Pao Philo, taking place November 26th in the Polish promotion KSW. The reason I'm doing this fight is because of Mamalikov. About 3 years ago, I made a video on him on YouTube called Unknown MMA Prospects Volume 3. So I'm just going to give a quick background on Mama because I did feature him a few years back. Very exciting fighter, very unique striking and kicking, knockout power in his hands and his kicks. Good BJJ, decent wrestling. KSW light heavyweight champ, although he belongs at middleweight. Black belt in karate, purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Recent victories, first round victory submissions over Matt Lennon and James Irvin. Before that, defeated Yuki Sasaki, first round TKO. When I featured him, he was on a bit of a roll, and I think he ended up going 13 or 14 fights without a loss. And then he got a call from Sengoku to fight their champion at the time, Jorge Santiago, who also was on a roll himself, kind of turned his career around. And Mama knocked him out in the first round via ground and pound. They then had a rematch about a year later. I think it was a year later, and Mama ended up losing a decision. It's a fight where he was winning after 3 rounds, but he completely gassed for the 4th and 5th round. I don't think he was used to the 5-round fights. Nonetheless, big wins over Daniel Asasio, Jason Guida, Dave Danglish. European fans will know about Danglish. Martin Zawada, and UFC veteran Igor Pakrajak. He was offered to fight in the UFC multiple times, but decided he didn't like the restrictive contract, and recently was offered to fight in Bellator in their latest tournament, but he had cited reasons for apparently with his religion he feasts during that time of year, so he was unable to make it. I haven't got intimate details, but that's kind of the gist I got of it. A quick talk about Pao Philo. His career has gone downhill lately. Former WEC and Pride standout. Coming off a draw, he moved up to heavyweight to fight Toshi Ishii. I think Ishii was robbed in this fight. Kind of a lackluster fight, but definitely one that was dominated, for the most part by Ishii. Last 3 of his previously last 5 fights, he does have big wins, very big wins. He defeated Melvin Manhoef, Joe Dirksen, Alex Schoenhauer, Chael Sonnen. The fight he was losing bad, he ended up submitting Chael Sonnen, late in the fight. In the rematch, Sonnen dominated, and that was kind of the pitfall of his career. Again, citing issues with depression, possibly drug use, and, all the days in Pride he dominated, rumors came out about steroid use. In Pride, he defeated Kazuo Mizaki, Ryo Chonan, Ninja, Armor Suluev, Yuki Kondo, Minowa, multiple BJJ tournament titles. But the reason, again, I'm talking about this fight is for Mamalikov. If he wins this fight, it's time to step up. Time to fight in UFC or in Bellator. I would love to see him fight in Bellator. I think him and Shlemenko will be a good matchup. I think he gives Shlemenko big problems. Shlemenko tends to get hit. And I think he gives Hector Lombard, a fight for sure. So I'm not saying he wins those fights, but I think he threatens both of those guys. My question to you is, do you guys think he belongs in UFC or Bellator? How competitive do you think he would be? And what's the key matchup you'd like to see him in? So Mamalikov, I know there's tons of fans out there, and I appreciate the comments, guys. You know what? I love talking MMA, and I'll talk with anybody. So leave your comments, and I'd be interested in hearing about it. The next fighter I'm going to talk about is a fighter that I featured in a video about a year and a half ago called Bellator Season 3 Alternate Heavyweights. And this fighter is Edinaldo Oliveira. I was gonna, he had a fight coming up with Antonio Mendez, and I was gonna feature that fight. But apparently yesterday he got signed with UFC to fight at UFC 142 in Brazil against Rob Broughton. I have mixed feelings on Oliveira. He's had some lackluster fights. He hasn't shown me a lot, but then other fights he's shown big KO power. 13 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 1 no contest, 8 knockouts, 2 submissions, 6'7", 240 pounds. He just keeps on winning. I know he hasn't beat a lot of big names. He had a lackluster fight, and you can check it out on YouTube, against Junior Dos Santos. He's beat Yair Concalves, who I think is a decent heavyweight as far as the ground game goes. Concalves defeated Gerald Turek, a fighter I talked about in the past. Geronimo Dos Santos, he defeated Asuero Silva. And he also beat Joaquin Ferreira, who holds a victory over JDS, although he would never be able to compete with the JDS of nowadays. And also, another point is Edinaldo Oliveira is a training partner of Junior Dos Santos, so he does train with some good guys. When I mentioned him in the video, he was 7-0-1. Since then, he's gone 6-0. He's recently, since then, won 6 fights and had 1 no contest. 5 of those victories coming via TKO or KO. And my question to you is Edinaldo Oliveira UFC material? Can he be competitive? If he fights Rob Broughton, I think Broughton gives him issues. I'm not overly big on Broughton. I don't think he's a really tough guy though, but I'm not sure he's really UFC caliber. But I think Broughton can give Oliveira problems. So Oliveira's got long limbs. He's susceptible to submissions, but he keeps on winning, and he's got a fairly decent track record, and apparently he's got big power. Even JDS has said that. So would like to hear your comments on Oliveira. Even if he doesn't do well, I'm still excited to see another prospect make it, a guy that I talked about, make it to the show. So like to hear your thoughts on him. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about a fight that took place a few days ago that ended in kind of an upset fashion. Aleksander Emelianenko versus Magomed Mamalikov. A little bit of background on the fighters. Mamalikov, both these guys took the fight on short notice. Mamalikov, 6 feet, 230 pounds, doesn't have like the greatest build for MMA, but nonetheless showed some big power. Didn't know much about him. I knew he beat Alexei Olenek, who's a decent fighter in Europe, has fought North America, of course, but has some big submission victories. He lost to Beja Adjayev, and Adjayev is, he's no joke. He defeated Kevin Randleman, Francis Kermont, Konstantin Gluev. But nonetheless, I never really knew a whole lot about Mamalikov. Maybe the second time I heard his name mentioned. Little background on Alexander. Rumors of health issues lately. A lot about him. Lack of competition lately. Pride veteran. I think the biggest one on paper for him would be Sergey Karatanov, maybe. Also defeated Eric Pele, judo practitioner Pavel Natstula, Asuero Silva. And in his fight with Josh Barnett, he gave Josh Barnett big problems in the first round. Really, really punished him with striking. And then in the second round, ended up losing via submission to Barnett. Some may argue this, but a long time ago, a lot of people had him ranked, in the top 10 heavyweights in the world with potential to go higher. Again, some people will argue that. I recommend, and those of you who haven't seen it, I recommend you watching this fight on YouTube. You won't be disappointed. Very short fight. You don't need a lot of free time to see it. Just to recap, the fight started. Alexander was doing his thing, trying to get some distance, jabbing, but he came a little bit too close, and Mamalikov threw a huge overhand right, and connected big time. Flattened Alexander Emelianenko, and then finished up with punches and turned the lights out. Devastating knockout. So a couple of questions here. One, do you guys think Mamalikov is a prospect? He's supposed to he's supposed to compete in the upcoming N1 Grand Prix heavyweight tournament. So do you guys think he's a prospect? or do you think he's, kind of a lucky punch kind of guy? I'd like to hear back your thoughts on that. And I guess with Aleksander Emelianenko, have we seen the last of him? Um, some of his highlights in his career to check out, some, kind of memorable moments are his 15-second knockout of Ricardo Morales. That was brutal. Morales fell like a sack of potatoes. 10 or 11-second knockout of James Thompson. The submission win over Pavel Nastula was big because of Nastula's background. A little quick note on Aleksander Emelianenko. He is a black belt in judo himself. Big Sambo background. 2003 and 2004 world champ. 99 and 2006 world champ in Sofia. Won a silver in the 2010 Beijing Sambo Wrestling Championships. He is only 30 years of age. But my question is, have we seen the last of him, or will he come back? Can he make a comeback, or is he really irrelevant? Is his lack of fighting top guys the last few years really come back to haunt him? So that's a question of mine, guys, and I'd like to hear your input, comments, anything you guys want to talk about MMA, video responses, that sort of thing. Be sure to comment on Mamalikov, Edinaldo Oliveira, and of course Mamalikov and Aleksander Emelianenko. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll be back again in the next few days. I got a great young prospect I want to talk about. Actually only 16 years of age, I believe, so fighting amateur right now, but got some great video footage of this guy. So stay tuned, and thanks for listening. Be back soon.